Hi, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of Little Shop of Nerds. I'm Julia.
Mike.
And last week's hint was Sosuke or I Like Ham. And if you don't know what we were referring to, we are referring to probably one of the cutest Studio Ghibli movies out there.
Ponyo.
So if you're unfamiliar with Ponyo, it's about this little fish girl who she escapes from the clutches of her father. There's really no main villain. He kind of like acts like the villain, but he's not really a villain. He just wants to protect his daughter.
Yeah, pretty much like
his multiple daughters.
No, that's also another thing. He's got multiple daughters, but he only cares about one.
I've noticed that. I wonder if maybe like Ponyo is special.
That or something, or he just likes to play favoritism.
Maybe, I don't know, but or maybe she was like their first daughter.
Could be, but they all look. I don't want to say.
They all look the same, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. But besides that, because they all have red hair, all have red hair. They all look like have the same face. So
yeah, their faces are weird too. Like they look human, and they're supposed to be fish. But I wonder if maybe I know the father has like he wears a bubble around his head when he's out in the water, but when he's on land, he has to like keep himself wet.
Maybe it's because one, he can't breathe underwater. Maybe because he's been underwater seas for so long. He's not used to the dry land. Because he said he used to be part of the human world. Now he's not. So in one way, he just maybe uses it so he can stay moistured on land.
Or I wonder if maybe it's the elixir that he drinks.
That too, because there's a lot of elixirs.
Okay, so back to Ponyo. So
too bad it wasn't alcohol.
Yeah. So she escapes the clutches of her father, goes to the human world, and gets, I guess, saved by this little boy named Sosuke. He cuts himself. She licks his finger, heals it, and then he decides that he's going to keep her, name her Ponyo, and take her with him everywhere. So there is a typhoon, I think. Some sort of storm.
It was like a tsunami.
Yeah, and he loses Ponyo.
No.
He loses her before that.
He loses her before that. What happened is he was trying to hide Ponyo because Ponyo squirted that little girl in his class.
Oh, yeah.
Then he takes it to the nursing home, and all the other old ladies liked him, except that one played by Leah Thompson? Whatever her name is. But she kept saying, "Put it back in the ocean, and look, that thing could cause a tsunami. Tsunami. I'm like...
Yeah. Oh, and the late and great Betty White was also in this movie.
I miss you, Betty.
Yeah. So if you're a fan of Betty White, I would advise you guys to check this movie out. Also has Matt Damon as Sosuke's father, and Liam Neeson as Ponyo's father, which was crazy. Tina Fey is in there too.
As the mother, so.
And then there was another actress, I can't remember who it was, but she was another big name that was in the movie, and I honestly cannot remember the name. They also had Noah Cyrus, which is Miley Cyrus's little sister.
And I think, what was it?
She was the voice for Ponyo, and then they had
Frankie Jonas.
Yeah, Frankie Jonas.
Which is the little brother of the Jonas Brothers, so.
And he was Sosuke. He did the voice for Sosuke. So, anyways, her father does manage to get his hands on her again. And he's kind of keeping her hostage. And he tries to feed her something. But she had ham. So now she likes ham. And she has some of Sosuke's blood. So then she starts to form legs and arms. And she's starting to look a little bit more human-like.
Yeah, but those hands and arms look like looked like a bird, hand and feet.
That's what I was thinking too, like a chicken or some sort of bird. It's kind of really weird. So during the typhoon, she shows up again. And
I think it's because she started that typhoon. I think because remember when she...
yeah, because when she started to transform, she was everything was starting to go out of balance because she wasn't supposed to be a human or be around humans. So everything was going out of balance. So, and she was a very powerful, one of the most powerful daughters that they had, I think. So that's probably why they were playing favoritism, was because she was pretty powerful.
And also her sisters help her escape.
Yeah.
They get into the elixir, hell breaks loose, and that's when a typhoon or tsunami hits. And
yeah, so then she eventually shows up. When Sosuke and his mom got home, she shows up, and she's kind of like in her little bird state. I'm going to call it her bird state. She's kind of like in her little bird state, and she picks up his little green bucket that he was keeping her in. And his mom's like, oh no, there's a little girl out here. We gotta save her. And when the Ponyo starts running towards them, and the mom's running towards them, but then the little girl just runs right past Sosuke's mom and just launches herself. She literally glomps, which if you don't know what a glomp is, that's a running hug. She literally glomps Sosuke, and she's sitting there and she's looking at him. She's fully human at this point. And she's sitting there they're looking at each other, and he's just like, it was a good probably, 30 seconds of them looking at each other?
At least 30 or 20.
And then he was like, Ponyo? And she's like, yeah, I'm Ponyo. And he's like, mind blown.
Right.
So, his mom actually seemed to accept the fact that the fish that, I don't really know if she really believed him.
I think it was just because she's a kid, and, she just treated her like she was a lost girl, and, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So then, later on the whole town had lost power. So, his mom works in the nursing home, and she's like, I need to go back to the nursing home. She's like, you and Ponyo stay here, and I'll be back. And she leaves in the middle of the night and just leaves Ponyo and Sosuke by themselves, which, by the way, Sosuke's 5 years old, and Ponyo knows nothing about the outside world because she's a fish.
Nah.
So they eventually decide that they're going to go find her because there was so much water that it literally came up to Sosuke's house. So Ponyo made his little toy boat bigger for them, and off they go to find Sosuke's mom.
Goodbye.
And they meet a few people along the way, like more residents, and I'm just baffled by how they will just let a 5-year-old boy and some fish girl just go off on their own with no supervision. It's like Pokemon all over again.
Oh, it's true. Besides that, there's also, when he looks underwater, there was also different creatures that were from the prehistoric age and everything.
Yeah, and Ponyo's like, I know that one, and I know that one, and I know that one. And he's like, oh my gosh, that's from, like, the prehistoric age and stuff like that. And it's really weird, and it might have had something to do with the world being out of balance.
Yep.
So, they, eventually find Sosuke's mom's car, but she's nowhere to be found. At this point, Ponyo is, I think she had used so much of her power that she just can't really stay awake. And then she turns back into a fish.
Mm-hmm.
And he runs into, he makes it to the old folks' home, where the old folks' home would be. Well, before that,
Ponyo's father took the residents.
All but one.
Yeah, because she was annoying.
Yeah. All the old women, all the old residents went with Ponyo's father underwater, but they seemed to be able to like run and jump and didn't need their wheelchairs and stuff like that. And Sosuke's mom was there too, and Sosuke's mom was talking to Ponyo's mother.
Which I think she's a goddess.
I think so too.
Like a sea goddess, and
that might be why Ponyo had her powers.
And that's why the sailors, I think they knew she was a goddess. That's why they were bowing to her.
Yeah, they were like, they saw her in the ocean during the typhoon because they were wondering where they were because they saw they thought maybe they saw lights and thought maybe, oh hey, that might be the city. But then there were mountains that they had never seen before, and they're like, are we at China? Did they throw us towards China? And it turns out that all the glittering lights that they were seeing were boats. And then the mountains that they saw were the waves. And the moon was so close because everything was out of balance because of, Ponyo was turning human.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're talking because she told Ponyo's father that in order for them to restore balance, she would have to go back to being a fish. That's what Ponyo's father wanted. But her mom's like, no, because she can turn into a human, and it would still put everything in balance. Sosuke just has to accept her for who she is.
Very much.
Which 5-year-old kids normally do stuff like that. Like, they're just like, I don't care.
Yeah, they do have that care attitude, like, he's like, what happens if you do this? They're like, I don't care.
Yeah. So, Sosuke runs into, the little old woman that we were telling you about, the one that kept telling Sosuke to put Ponyo back in the ocean, he runs into her. Because she's the only one that did not go underwater with all the other residents. And then Ponyo's father shows up and he was like, Sosuke, I need you to come with me. And he's like, no, I'm not going to let you take Ponyo from me. And he is like, no, I'm not going to do that. He's like, just come with me. And then the old woman shows up. She's like, no. She's like, no, Sosuke, don't go with him. And he took all the other residents and your mother. And he ends up getting them and taking them underwater.
Yeah, and I always think it's funny how she's like, don't trust him. But he's like, you don't get it. The moon's coming close. It's all out of balance. That's your only excuse.
Yeah. So, he does end up getting them to go with him. And then they meet Ponyo's mother. And she goes, hey, are you going to love Ponyo forever and stuff like that? And he was like, yeah, we'll take care of her. And Sosuke's mom's like, yeah, we'll take care of her. The only thing is Ponyo does lose her magic powers. And they do put her in this little bubble. And she told Sosuke to kiss the bubble when she gets to dry land. All of her siblings come down and give her kisses and stuff like that. And then they all go off. And the residents come out. And the residents I guess they're full of energy and didn't need their wheelchairs and stuff like that.
They're like, screw this. We're out, motherfucker.
Yeah, and so Ponyo took it upon herself to kiss Sosuke. So there is this really popular scene from the movie where Sosuke is just kind of standing there and Ponyo is kind of up in the air and her face is in front of his. That's from the part where she kissed him and she actually turned into a human. And then Sosuke's dad came back, and that's pretty much the end of the movie.
That's pretty much the end of the movie, yes. It's like a short movie.
Yeah, it's actually based off of a book, I think, called Ponyo by the Cliff or something like that. That's what it says at the beginning of the movie.
Well, I haven't read the book, so
I haven't read the book either.
So you might want to take a look at that.
Yeah, so okay, so one of my major gripes about the movie is the little 5-year-old boy just going off on an adventure. Like, Pokemon, it's okay because they're 10. Still not the greatest. But then you've got Sosuke, who is 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ponyo, who knows nothing about the human world because she's a fish. And they're just like, oh, hey, yeah, Sosuke, just go off and find your mom. And they're completely okay with her doing that.
Mm.
Or them doing that. Like, just like, okay, whatever. Have fun. Have fun storming the castle, you know.
Yeah. I think my biggest thing is about the movie, it's not a bad movie. It's a good movie. I would say it's more of an okay movie.
Mm-hmm.
Before people ready to threaten me in the comments.
I think it's, like, super, super cute.
Well, it is cute, but here's the thing. One, I felt like the story was just... I understand maybe it was based on a kid book. I understand why they were making it feel like it was going fast, but it felt fast to me.
It did feel like it was a little fast. It was a little rushed. Yeah.
I didn't feel like I got... And I understand there's no villain, but I still didn't feel like I get nothing out of Ponyo's father, because I don't know his backstory. The only thing we get from him is he had to leave the human world because how bad they were. And here's the thing is, why are they bad? What happened? Did one of them kill you or kill your whatever?
Well, I mean, I think it's basically why he thinks that they're bad is because of all the trash that's in the ocean. Because he does complain about the trash in the ocean when he's trying to find Ponyo.
I know that, but it's just I feel like I still didn't.
Like, I want to know what made him want to go into the ocean to begin with.
Maybe you ever think that he might have had like a goddess fetish?
I don't think it's that. I wonder if maybe at one point he was a sailor, and then his ship went down, and then the goddess saved him.
Sailor or a sorcerer.
Oh, I mean, he does know magic.
So, either way, he could be both.
Or maybe the magic just kind of like developed naturally as he started to form this relationship with the goddess.
That too.
But he does have like these things called elixirs, and he does drink a lot of it because he needed to suppress Ponyo's power when after he caught her the first time, like after she left the first time and he got her again, and she was like trying to like bust out of her bubble or whatever that he had her in, and that's when she started to turn into a human. He's like, oh my god, you had human blood. And he drank a lot of his elixir to kind of counteract that part.
And she's like, I want ham.
Yeah, that's all she wanted, she just wanted ham. And which I would love to do this one of these days, but one of the first meals that Sosuke's mom gave them after they found Ponyo as human was ramen with ham and a boiled egg, and I think green onions.
Yeah. You know, that's also another thing. Every time you watch a Studio Ghibli film or even watching an anime, somehow their food looks way delicious. Even if you like look at it in real life, it's delicious. But how they do it makes it like super delicious.
You know, there is a Japanese restaurant not far from here where they do sell their ramen like that.
Nice.
Me and Charlie went there yesterday.
Oh, Charlie's her boyfriend.
Yeah, he's my boyfriend. We went to this Japanese place not far from us yesterday, and it was great. Yeah, so they got ramen just like what you see in anime and movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Studio Ghibli.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I would probably give it like an 8.5 out of 10.
I would give it a 7.
7.
It's still an okay for me, but I'm not going to say it's one of my favorite Studio Ghibli films.
Like, okay, he's like, I am a little disappointed that they don't have like a dedicated villain. I mean, I think her father is more misunderstood than an actual villain.
Well, no, if you look at with Kiki's delivering service, that doesn't really have a villain either.
They have no villain in that one.
I mean, but yet that was still a good film.
And then My Neighbor Totoro also has no villain.
That's true. There was no villain in that. And what else? The Secret World of Arrietty, there was no villain in that?
No, there was a villain.
What?
That old woman was a villain.
She was nuts.
We will talk about that movie later. I think when Marty was there had no villain either.
Oh, Marty was there. That was a good film.
Up on Poppy Hill didn't have a villain either.
No.
That was a good film too. I really enjoyed that one.
All right, well,
The Wind Rises didn't really have a villain either.
If you count the German Nazis.
Well, I mean, Japan was part of that too.
So yeah. Okay.
We'll talk about that one later too.
Anyways, like I said, we'll get to these films as soon as we can. Like I said, we got a whole list of what we want to talk about, just not right now.
And if you guys have anything you want us to talk about, leave it in the comments, email us. Our email is in the description, so you can always email us there too with your suggestions or whatever. Might be best to maybe just leave it in the comments, because I do check comments fairly often.
Yep.
So we're also on Twitter.
Check us out on there.
Check us out on there. We are working on getting a Facebook page up soon, so you can always follow us on there too. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Oh, and also to any big promoters, send us a free tickets to Comic-Con or any kind of convention so we can talk there.
That's a ways off, Mike.
I don't care. Just send me free shit.
We're not that popular yet.
Just send me free shit. That's what I want.
Okay, so the next episode, the next episode's hint is The Boy Who Lived. Don't give it away.
They're gonna know from the first.
Not everybody knows. So anyways, that's next week's hint. So, give us a like and subscribe, and we will talk to you later. Okay, bye.
Yo.